Hi, thanks for joining us for the replay of this webinar that's all about EDOF and choosing the right exam for your CPF clients. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Natasha and I've been an English teacher in Paris since 2012, and now I'm running courses to help you do the same thing as me. So I stopped working for big companies in 2020. I created my own MonCompteFormation. I wanted to cut out the middleman. I saw how much the big companies were charging compared to how much they were paying me, and I was the one doing the work, so I wanted to get rid of that and completely go it on my own. So now I am here with my YouTube channel to help you do exactly the same. So I want all of us to do the same thing, like you're giving all that information, all that work to those big language schools when I want you to be doing it for yourself. So I'm going to give you as much information as I possibly can for free, share with you everything that I've learned over the past 12 years, everything that I've learned more recently with getting my own Qualiopi certification and teaching my students with their CPF funding. At the moment, my Qualiopi in 4 weeks course is open for sign-ups. As this video is going out, I've got 2 places available on the course for free. So if you want a chance to win your spot on that course absolutely 100% for free, as soon as you watch this video, send me an email, info@azlinguistics.com with "I'm in" the subject line, and you could get your space on that course for free. If you've got any burning questions as well, anything that you want me to do a webinar about or a video, or any questions that you want answered, anything you're not sure about, then leave me a comment and I'll be happy to answer that for you in another video. Enjoy! Right, so what I wish I'd known, and that's what we're going to talk about today. First thing about Qualiopi in general. So I'm too scared to take the plunge. That was my problem, like I just said to you. I started the company in 2020. 2 years later, I got Qualiopi certification, but it had been maybe 2, 3 or so years before that I was thinking, oh God, I need to do this. I need to stop working with these schools that are paying peanuts. Kind of sitting behind the desk while I'm doing all the work kind of thing. So what I've learned along the way then is that it's not as scary as it sounds. And once it's done, it's done. You don't need to take that 5 years to do it. You can do it much more quickly. So what have I said in the presentation then? It's not as scary as expensive as it sounds. I've said this in other videos. I think we think that it's super expensive because, when you look at the price of the audit, but what I worked out before was that over maybe 3 years, it's costing me approximately €80 a month, which to be able to keep my clients that want to pay with their CPF, work with the companies, it's nothing, is it really? So yeah, I don't think cost should be a barrier to you. Am I ready? I know a lot of us are scared of the paperwork and getting everything together. Well, I think you're already ready because you already have all this paperwork, really. So that's half the battle. Just the thing is, at the minute, is that you're, obviously, if you're an entrepreneur, you're giving it to these language schools that need it for their audits instead of using it for yourself. Okay, so I want you to stop doing that and do it for yourself. All right. So essentially, maybe you're not 100% ready, but you're at least halfway there, I can assure you. Okay, even things like getting your students to sign the paperwork that you use for that, or your programme pédagogique, what you're going to put in your classes, that's the documentation that you need for Qualiopi, okay? So you've already got it, you're already doing it. It's just the difference is you're giving it to someone else at the moment. Okay, so the main subject of today, then we're going to be talking about EDOF and the exams, because this was one of my major pain points, okay? Mainly, I think, because I underestimated it, okay? I didn't think too much about it. I didn't realise how difficult it was going to actually be. I was kind of focusing more on the other aspects of Qualiopi, okay? So this is where we kind of separate Qualiopi and actually having someone pay with the CPF, okay? So you can work with companies once you've got your Qualiopi certification, but unless you've got a certifying exam that you're affiliated with, you won't be able to get yourself on the MonCompteFormation website and have people pay with their CPF. Okay, so that's what we'll talk about today. One major thing I wish I'd known, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So I'll talk about that in a bit more detail after, but basically I was just so desperate to get with an exam. I went with an exam that recently lost its accreditation, and that meant that for a couple of weeks, without even knowing, because they don't even tell you, no new clients were actually able to sign up for my classes, and that was a whole other stress. So I'm going to talk about that so that you can avoid that. Last point then, you don't have to go it alone. So some of you will already know, I've got a Slack channel that I've just started. So at the moment it's completely free, anyone can join, and we can all be in that community together. We can ask questions, help each other out. I'm on Slack 5 days of the week, most weeks. So, any questions that you may have, if you want to join that channel, you can. So everybody should get an email automatically after the webinar. And that will have all the links to kind of my website so that you can join up to whatever you want to join up to. Qualiopi in 4 weeks, I'll tell you about that after. And you can subscribe on YouTube as well so that you can see any future videos. Okay, so briefly then, Qualiopi in 4 weeks. So this is the course that I'm running at the moment. We'll have a sign up in for the April and May intake. So that'll include 12 hours of training. And the idea is that you get completely ready, everything that you need in just 4 weeks, okay? So there'll be 2 half-day sessions, which are 4 hours, and 2 2-hour sessions after that, so over 4 weeks. The point of that is that each time you go away from a session, you've got that accountability that you need to come back with the documents, and any questions, any pain points, anything that you can't find or you're not sure if you've got the right thing, we can go through that together, okay? So the global idea is that at the end of the 4 weeks, you've got everything you need and you can go through that audit. Okay, so we'll talk about the basics, the NDA, BFP or BPF, I think, sorry, and choosing the right auditing company. We'll go through every single indicator that you'll need to cover in your audit. Make sure you've got all the right documents. Okay, we'll talk more detail about what we're going to talk about briefly today. So that's EDOF, getting your offer on EDOF, getting the right certification, getting with the right company, how to actually put your offer on EDOF so that it's conform and that you don't have any problems with your, audit de surveillance after that. Okay, tangible examples. So I'll give you all of the information that I've got. Regular Q&A, obviously through Slack, and during the sessions, you can ask me all the questions that you want. We can help each other out. So the bonuses of that then at the minute is that you'll get lifetime access to the course and any updates. Obviously with Qualiopi, laws are changing almost on a month-to-month basis. So everything that gets updated on the course, you'll always have access to that forever. You'll have access to the Slack community forever. You'll get templates of all my documents, okay? So everything that I've got that I know is conformed, that's gone through the audit and there's been no problem with it, you'll get kind of a version of that you can fill in and use for yourself, okay? And accountability, I already spoke about that. So at the moment then, I'm going to be closing up inscriptions for that on Tuesday the 2nd. The next 2 people that send me an email to info@azlinguistics.com after this webinar will get on that course completely for free, okay? So don't do it now, do it when the webinar's finished. And the first 2 people will get on that course for free, okay? Right. What's that done? Okay, so into the subject of the day then. So exams and costs versus benefits. So as I said before, then it was a pain point for me and it's something that I really underestimated. If you're kind of in a situation as well where you haven't done your audit yet or you're not completely ready to do your audit, you haven't got all the documents, whatever, then you can do your audit. It's not a problem without having this part done, okay? So you can do your Qualiopi audit, you can pass it, no problem, without having one of these exams ready to go kind of thing. So that's what I underestimated, okay? Yeah, so you can, well, I've lost my train of thought, sorry guys. So yeah, you can do this after if you want to, but I would kind of advise doing it up front because it can take a long time and there can be a lot of barriers, okay? So I thought that it was going to be easy, you just kind of get in touch with the TOEIC. I want to prepare people for the TOEIC exam with my company. When they're going to pay with their CPF, I've got my Qualiopi certification, I've done everything I need to do. No, actually. So it was as well kind of like a tough time for me when I did my initial Qualiopi audit. It was a time where things were just switching over from Datadog to Qualiopi, and all the companies that are providing exams were also being
re-certified, shall we say. So everybody was just in a mess. So TOEIC just wasn't even answering anybody. Okay. It is getting a little bit better now. I have managed to get contact with TOEIC, but the main point that I want to say to you here is don't think, okay, yeah, I want to prepare people for the TOEIC. I'll just have to call them once I've done my audit. They'll know that I'm certified and the job done. Okay, it's not that simple. You really want to start to make those contacts in advance. TOEIC LinguaSkill. So LinguaSkill was the one that I was with, which was great. There was no kind of barrier to entry. I managed to get in touch with them really easily. So LinguaSkill, if you don't know, is the new version of Bullets. Used to be the Bullets, so it's by Cambridge. So you would think that it was kind of a valeur sûre, something that you wouldn't need to worry about. But yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I had a client who was trying to sign up on the MonCompteFormation website, and she said to me, the link's not working, it's saying the training's not available. Oh, what's that all about? So it turned out, and they gave no warning, that France Compétences had not renewed Cambridge's ability to provide the LinguaSkill exam and be financed by CPF. And so that was it. I couldn't sell any trainings because I had no exam. So I couldn't be on EDOF, I couldn't be on MonCompteFormation anymore because I'd kind of put everything in LinguaSkill because it was the only thing that was easy. TOEIC wasn't answering me. Chloe had said no because I was a new entrant. And I hadn't tried anything else. So I got LinguaSkill and I was like, okay, job done. And then, yeah, a couple of years later, a big problem. So what I would advise you to do is to make contact with everybody, okay? Chloe. So with Chloe, I'm with Chloe now. An advantage as well of Chloe is that if you teach more than one language, you can do that with Chloe, okay? So I also work with French teachers, so it's not a problem for me to offer English classes and French classes, which obviously I couldn't do with LinguaSkill because it was just English. Chloe, then, like I said, they did reject me in the beginning because I was a nouvel entrant. But it wasn't a problem 2 years later. So, I mean, you never know. If you kind of sell yourself really well, maybe they'll be looking more into experience now. I'm not really sure if things have changed compared to 2 years ago, whether it's just the fact that we're not in that kind of transition period from EDOF to Qualiopi anymore. Is that why they were more open to me now? Or is it just the fact that it's been 2 years and, you know, we've had some trainings and they can see like my company's experience? I'm not really sure, but I mean, get in touch with them. Why not? English 360, sorry, for me seems like the easiest option when you're starting out. I sent them a message. They didn't really ask many questions. They just wanted to know that you were certified and have your documentation. And that was about it. Then they sent me a link to sign up for to be able to provide English 360 exam. So that's an option, and it's not a very expensive. I'll go through the prices after as well, but I think that's a good option when you're starting out at least. Bright, I think same thing. I contacted those 2 years ago and it wasn't possible for them. And they did say, actually, I looked back on the email a couple of days ago, that the reason was because of the transition from EDOF to Qualiopi, and they were in a big mess, but I should come back to them at some point, which I haven't done yet, but why not? Lilat. So Lilat is an exam that I actually used to prepare and test people on. So I was an examinateur in a centre de formation for Lilat about 5 years ago. I do quite like it as an exam in itself because it does really just test the person speaking. I think it gives you a good idea of their level, but for what it is and what it costs, I think it's a barrier for me, but it's a huge cost. So we'll go through those costs now. English 360 then. Per test, the most expensive you'll pay is 75 euros. Now they don't say actually whether that's hors tax or TTC, I'm not really sure. 75 euros for a test, but it's a digressive pricing, so it can go down to 58 if you've got a lot of students that want to take that exam. You can get it for 58 euros per test if you buy a big pack. And the great thing about that is there's no retainer cost. Okay, so a lot of these companies, they have, you have to pay a certain amount per year or a certain amount to get in. So that's again why I think that it's a really good kind of starter exam. And I don't want to say starter to diminish it. I'm not saying that it's a bad exam, but I mean, obviously it's not the exact, your clients are going to come to you, I want to do the TOEIC. This is what you hear all the time. It's not one that a lot of people have heard of, I don't think. But yeah, I think it's a good one to have on your list, definitely. After LinguaSkill, I mean, I'm still going to talk about LinguaSkill, even though you can't use them to be on the CPF funding anymore. It's not a bad exam. I think it's a good exam. The person will kind of start answering questions and it adapts itself. So if it sees that the person's not going to get past A2, it'll keep the questions at that level, or, it'll keep showing them more complicated questions. And obviously, it's not all about CPF. So if you're working with companies, you can offer LinguaSkill for that, or people that are self-funded, for example. I don't think it's a bad exam. And what's good about LinguaSkill is, there's no retainer cost again, but the exam itself is not cheap, okay? Compared to others, it's 168 euros, tax included per exam, which is quite high, probably one of the highest. But yeah, it's an option, especially if you're someone that hasn't done your Qualiopi audit yet. If you just give them a call, for me, it was like really easy to, get on their books. You've got no obligation to buy anything, but when you do your audit, you can say, okay, I'm going to prepare people for the LinguaSkill exam. These are the prices. This is how I'm going to prepare them. You've got all that information there. Because when you're doing that first initial audit as well, a lot of it is, this is how I would do it. If you've got something more concrete as well, I think it gives you that confidence when you're talking about your offer. And then you don't necessarily need to use it after, but you can do with companies. After then, the cluing. So you do have a retainer cost here, or an entry cost, shall we say. Now, per exam, it's 98 euros, so it's cheaper than LinguaSkill. Per year, you have to pay 500 euros if you're a company, or 300 euros if you're an entrepreneur. So let's say then you're starting planning now and you want to do your Qualiopi audit in 6 months. If you put 50 euros in an envelope for the next 6 months, that's that done for a year, isn't it? So it's not huge. And then you only need to factor in that 98 euros per test cost when you're putting your offer on EDOF. So yeah, I'm affiliated with Chloe now. I'm happy with it. Very good. I'm glad that we can do it in various languages as well. That's great. Their kind of commercial team is great. They answer your questions. Perfect. No complaints there. Alors, Lilette. So, not only do they have that kind of yearly cost, they also have a droit d'entrée. Now, these prices are without tax, so you have to think about adding 20% on again. So, Lilette, excuse me, the droit d'entrée is 1,000 euros all tax for a company, or 300 if you're an entrepreneur. Then you have to pay 500 all tax every year for an entreprise, and 200 every year for an entrepreneur. And then on top of all that, the test itself, all tax, is 150 euros. Okay, so I think that's, for me, it's excessive. Yeah, for an exam, I think it's not, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not super well known. I wouldn't be as shocked with these prices for something more well known, but yeah. So for the moment, I can't tell you a lot about the TOEIC because I'm in the process of getting myself in the door with them. So I finally got my company account. I'm hoping that the commercial is going to get back to me and we can talk about CPF. So I'll keep you updated on that if I do get any information. The reason that I want to be affiliated with TOEIC is because I lose clients over it. Well, I did anyway. I've got a way to get around it now. I'll tell you about that. You'll often get people calling you up, or clients that want to pay with this CPF. I want to take the TOEIC. I need it for a job, or it's because it's what they've heard of and everybody's heard of it. Everybody wants to take the TOEIC. So if you can't offer it, sometimes it's a problem. But what you can do to get around that, and what I do at the minute, is I incorporate that in my offer, my rate that I put on EDOF. When you're calculating how many hours this person's going to get for the budget that they've got, you get them to pass to take the exam that you're affiliated with. So for me, it would be the CLUE. I would prepare them for the CLUE. They would take the CLUE, and then I would add TOEIC as a kind of extra as part of their package. Okay, so they can prepare that on the side. They've still paid with their CPF, and then at the end of the day, they walk away with 2 certificates. So they're happy with that. So if that's something that you can do to kind of work around that little problem if you want to. Okay. So we've talked about costs, certifiers requirements. So that's where I'm talking about, these kind of issues with are you a nouvel entrant? I think that's the biggest problem for some of them. I do think, though, that it's less of a problem these days. When I did it, it was a particularly touchy time, but I think if you can show that you're, an experienced teacher, which I'm sure you are, you've got a good offer, why not? Okay. Do I know it and can I prep it? The less well-known exams, maybe English 360, you need to have a look around. Are there kind of exam en blanc? Is there example exams? Am I going to be able to kind of give my student an idea of what the exam's going to be like? Do I know what to put in my course content to make sure the person is ready for that exam? Obviously, the easiest one for that is TOEIC, because there's so many books, and I'm sure a lot of us are, kind of used to having prepared people for that over the years. Certainly the one that I'm most familiar with. Language skill, you've got e-learning systems. So actually a good thing to look at for the TOEIC, especially, they did have it for linguist skill as well, is a company called prepmyfuture.com. They do pretty good e-learning. It's only €30, something like that, for a year. So you can include that as part of your offer. If you're prepping someone for TOEIC or whatever. I'm going to do an experiment where I'll give someone who's prepping for the CLUE a linguist skill e-learning, because they don't have CLUE on there at the minute. So I'll keep you posted with that one if it's kind of similar, because what I kind of got from the commercial when she was talking to me about it was that the CLUE exam is similar to the linguist skill exam. But with the added bonus, which I do like, is that at the end of the CLUE exam, so it's the same kind of setup as the linguist skill, like I was saying, it adapts to the person's level. At the end of the linguist skill exam, the writing and so on, the speaking part is done with AI. Whereas with CLUE, you come to the end of the exam and then you have a calendar and you pick a time where you'll have like a video with a real human person and do an actual speaking exam, I think, for 20 minutes. So I think that's a real added bonus for CLUE. I'm not really sure about English 360 or Bright exactly what. I have got some details. If you do want the details, I can send those to you, but I don't know them off the top of my head. Do students want it? It's kind of the problem that I was talking about before. You're going to have a lot of people coming to you like, oh yeah, I want to pay my CPF, but I want to do the TOEIC exam. So I've told you kind of how you can get around that, if you can factor that into your costs. But ideally, it's something that you want to avoid because it does become an expense. So ideally, you want to get in with the TOEIC if you're going to have a lot of demand for that. Okay. Risk of non-renewal. So that's what I was saying about with the linguistic exam. So because of the risk of non-renewal, that's why I think it's a good idea to be affiliated with more than one. Okay. So don't, as I said in the first slide, put all your eggs in one basket. If you go to English 360, get affiliated with them, job done. But don't just leave it at that. Okay. Do try and get affiliated with the others. Obviously, like if you're starting out or you're an entrepreneur, you're not going to be paying €300 a year for CLUE and then what is it, 1,000 or whatever, €500 a year for Lillet at the same time, and all these different exams. Like in the beginning, it's not possible. But yeah, why not go to English 360 and CLUE and get in touch with TOEIC? So that somewhere down the line, once you have more clients, you'll have more to offer them. Okay. So are there any questions at that point? If you want to put any questions in the chat, feel free before we move on. Nobody typing. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the EDOF website. I'm going to change the screen that I'm sharing. Bear with me a second. Some certifiers ask to do an audit. What would they ask for? So, well, I did do an audit. Yeah, that's true, actually. Thanks for reminding me. I did do an audit for Chloe. The first thing she asked me was like, what makes you, I'm thinking like in Franglish, in habilité, or like what makes you somebody who could, or like what right do you have? Is that the right way to say it? I don't know. Like what makes you a legitimate person to offer this exam, basically. So like the audit was kind of me talking about my experience, how long I've been teaching English for, my qualifications, even the fact that I'm a native English speaker was kind of a good response for her. She was saying, oh yeah, I get so many of these kind of, the people who are responsables pédagogiques and they know nothing about pedagogy, they don't even speak English, and she was saying it was a big problem. So the fact that we're native speakers is apparently a positive point. Okay. What else might they ask you? So it could also be things like to show your programme pédagogique. Obviously, if you're getting ready to do the Qualiopi audit, you're going to have all of these documents anyway. So it could be an example of a programme pédagogique. That was something that I had to send to her ahead of time. I had to send programme pédagogique. I had to send my Qualiopi certification as well. So I'm sure though, if you tell them that your audit is planned, you wouldn't need to give that ahead of time. But yeah, it's just basic things. What's your course content? Why are you legitimate in this business kind of thing? But it was really, with Chloe, she was a very nice woman. They're really not trying to trap you or anything. I'd say it's the same as the Qualiopi audits. They're not there to like catch you out. They're not mean. So yeah, I had a nice chat with this woman. I think we just tend to get terrified by the word audit, don't we? Like audit, oh god, scary. So yeah, I was like absolutely terrified before this Chloe audit. I was thinking, God, if I don't get this, what am I going to do? Like, and I was really kind of scrambling around trying to prepare and everything, but it was so straightforward. Yeah, as long as you're a professional, you're experienced, you know what you're doing, there's really nothing to worry about with those audits. I hope that answers your question anyway, Stephen. Let's take you over to EDOF. Okay, so here we are on the website. So you've got the steps here about how it works. You can make your account before you've done your Qualiopi audit. It's just, yeah, it won't be activated until obviously you're kind of registered everywhere. But you can create the account. Why not do it now and get it out of the way, and then once everything is active, then you've got one less thing to worry about. So let's sign in. So this is what it looks like. Then you have tableau de bord. So dossier non traité. This is what will come up when you've got somebody who has clicked on your link on the MonCompteFormation website. It means that they want to do your training. So what you need to do then is go into your action de formation, edit it for that person. So it's going to have their specific objectives in it. It might be, for example, the person's got a budget of 3,500 and your formation is 3,550 or something. So you can kind of maybe add an extra hour on to kind of, because they don't obviously want like 50 euros left on their account. They want to use the whole thing. So you can edit it specifically to that person. Or if they've got a little less money than what is kind of the price of your training, then you can take the number of hours down, for example. So I've got a lady who has done this part, and now I've gone back with my edited version. I put all of her details in, her objectives, and now so it's just waiting for her to validate that. And then I've got un dossier facturé. That means that I had one student who has finished. I've declared that they finished, and so she had like a cooling off period where she could have contested that the training didn't I don't know, maybe I didn't teach all of her hours or something. So she's had that time, and now it's effectué, so I can go back in there and go back and kind of send that actual final invoice off to them. Then on the left here, then we've got my catalogue. So we can see then, sadly, the lingual skill one, it's just disappeared, doesn't exist anymore. So I can't actually delete this because I've still got students that are taking this exam. So even though it has finished now, they are honouring people that were already signed up before the date that they lost the accreditation. All right, so now then we're on Chloe. So I've just got the, I've only put one up, no, 2 axioms at the moment. So what I need to do then actually is I need to put the French ones up. I haven't done that yet. And I've got like a 40-hour one and a 50-hour one here. I'm going to add a 20-hour one as well, I think. So you've got your Anglais sur mesure. So obviously all your classes are adapted to the person. So that's like your overall thing. And then under that kind of umbrella, you've got your different actions, which are, the different numbers of hours, but they're essentially the same. So I'll show you that. So you've got your conditions, modalité, the amounts, like what does it cost? So tax, something that's really important to remember as well. Obviously, not so much if you're an entrepreneur, but if you are a company or you've gone over that 77,000 limit to not charge TVA, you can make yourself exempt from charging TVA, which is great, for formation professionnelle. So what you need to do is you write to your local tax office, you give them all your details, you say that you want to be tax exempt, and then I believe, don't quote me on the timings because I can't remember exactly, but we can find out. It's something like if you don't receive a response within 2 months or something like that, it means that it's been accepted and you don't have to charge TVA anymore. But just remember that it's for formation professionnelle, okay? So if you're like teaching kids on a Wednesday afternoon, like that doesn't count, you still have to charge tax. Okay. So yeah, you've got all the little bits of info in there. If I show you now, then what does it look like on the website? Oh no, I need to stay in the same tab, don't I? So this is what it looks like on the client side. So you've got your objective, point fort, continue. Le résultat attendu is going to be your test. So this is what you have to put in there. If we go back, on the catalogue. So if I go here, ajouter un offre. So I think for all of those language exams, it's going to be formation préparant à une certification. As far as I'm aware, they're all on the répertoire spécifique. This is the one for Chloé Anglais. So you see in the right-hand corner there, it says certification récupérée. So if you just try and put in like the number from the TOEIC website or something, then it's going to say like, no, you're not accredited. So everything has to be kind of linked up for you to be able to get it on there, otherwise you won't be able to do it. Up. Okay, so votre identifiant interne, I can just put whatever. So 50 euros exists, so I can put a 20-hour version. Vérifier, pardon. So then this is going to be Anglais sur mesure. Voilà. Okay, so objective. So yeah, never forget as well that to access the funding from the CPF, it has to be in view of this person's career progression. Okay. So professionnalisation, par exemple. Objective. So you write whatever your objectives are. So that can be things like become confident in giving presentations at work. So these, remember as well, they have to be work related. It's really important. Okay. needs to speak fluently during phone calls, or needs to perfect complex tenses, for example. Okay. Content is going to be things like role plays of meetings, because we said we wanted them to be good in meetings, practicing writing emails, because one of their objectives is to be able to write emails. Okay. And so on and so forth. And that's basically it. So job done, then you validate. And then it does take maybe half a day for it actually to show up. And then what you will do is, once you've validated it, where's my little link gone? I always lose those links. So then you can copier l'URL vue titulaire, so that you can then send to your client so that they can access it on their side and sign up. As I said before as well, they can sign up. Then you need to kind of edit things around a bit, because obviously your action de formation, they're all kind of, what you've put on here is general. And then you need to make it specific to that particular client. Okay. And then they get a couple of days, I think, to validate that. So I think my lady might not have understood. She's only got one more day. I'm going to have to tell her she needs to revalidate that. So yeah, I think that's it really on EDOF. Does anyone have any more specific questions about EDOF? Or anything at all? Okay, that's my PowerPoint. No questions? Okay. All right. So if you have any questions after that, you can obviously send me an email. If you head over to the YouTube, it's Natasha in France. All the videos get uploaded to there. So any webinars that you can't come to, or any other questions you might have, you probably find them on the YouTube. Obviously, you can send me an email if you've got any questions or anything that you want me to cover. And the offer's still there as well. 2 people can get on the Qualiopi 4 weeks course for free. So if you want to join that, send me an email to info@azlinguistics.com with "I'm in" the subject line. Okay. Ruth, you're typing, and I'll see if you've got any questions before we wrap up. Okay, super. You're welcome, Ruth. Okay. All right. Yeah. Again, don't hesitate. If there's any things that you want me to make a subject of a webinar, send me an email, and I'll be happy to cover those questions for you. Okay. All right, everybody. Have a lovely day. See you soon.